Are you happy with the direction that your life is headed in right now? Do you feel like your life is moving forward, or do you feel stuck and stagnant? Are you the type of person that makes impulsive decisions that you regret later? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Thank you for joining me today. If you are new, welcome. And if you have been with me from day one, thank you, thank you, thank you. Last Friday, I shared a lesson entitled, You're the CEO. The life that we choose, it originates from our mind, and managing our thoughts is a daily and full-time job. So today I want to dive a little deeper and focus on our choices and our decisions. Our lives at this very moment are a direct result of the decisions that we've made based on the choices we've had and the thoughts that we decided to entertain. According to my search on Bing, choices are an act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. And to decide means to come to a resolution in the mind, come to a conclusion, and give victory to one side. Our world is full of a myriad of choices. We get to decide what we're going to wear, what we're going to eat, where we're going to live, where we're going to go, how we're going to spend our money, our career path, whether or not we're getting married. The list goes on and on. We make choices every single day, and most of the time we do it without giving it much thought. But allow me to pose a few questions to you. Just as I stated in the opening, are you happy with your life right now? Do you feel like your life is headed in the right direction? Do you feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants and your life is out of control? Do you tend to make impulsive decisions and you regret them later? Do you make decisions based on what other people think you should do? Are you living on autopilot and you're just letting life happen to you? Oh, how I wish that sometimes I could take a day off from having to make certain decisions. Anybody feel me? But unfortunately, by the time my feet hit the floor in the morning, decisions have to be made. And I continue to make them all day long until my head hits the pillow at night, only to have to do the same thing tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. It never, ever ends. As humans, we love things that are shiny and new. We tend to gravitate towards things that are going to entice us, thrill us, and appeal to our senses. And we end up typically avoiding things that will challenge us, take up a lot of our time, or things that we consider to be boring. Having to make a decision means that there are some choices. Some decisions are going to be easier than others, and I'm reminded of those dreaded multiple choice tests that I took in high school and in college. One answer is clearly wrong, but there are two or more answers that are very similar, but only one answer is right. And getting that answer right is not only going to determine my grade on the test, but it will also determine whether or not I move forward and end up graduating. We will always be presented with choices, and sometimes the choice is obvious, and other times there are two or more choices that we will be torn by because one will satisfy our flesh and the other one's going to be more difficult and won't give us any gratification in the moment. One choice will make us happy temporarily, but it'll end in regret, and the other choice might be hard in the beginning, but afterwards it'll leave a smile on our face. When we accept Christ, our spirit man is saved instantly, but we still have a soul and body to contend with. And it would be nice if salvation would solve all of our dilemmas and automatically enable us to make the right decision, but it just doesn't work like that. In the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam and Eve dominion, but he did not take away their ability to choose between good and evil. He gave specific instructions on what they should do and what they should not do, but he still allowed them to choose how they would manage what they had been given. And we all know how that turned out. We are still experiencing the consequences today from their one bad decision. Deuteronomy 30:19 confirms that we are the decision makers of our lives. We're not designed as robots. Rather, God created us with autonomy. We can accept him or reject him. We can choose life or destruction, to be blessed or to be cursed. We have been given a wonderful privilege that we often don't take full advantage of, which is the power to choose. At any given moment, our lives, we can choose without anyone's permission or input, and I think that's pretty remarkable, don't you? Deuteronomy 30:19, the NLT translation states, "Today I have given you the choice between life and death, between blessings and curses. Now I call on heaven and earth to witness the choice you make. Oh, that you would choose life so that you and your descendants might live. You may be putting off making certain decisions, but did you know in reality, indecision is still a decision? Deciding what I'm going to wear to work or eat for lunch, that is going to be so much easier than deciding if I will allow negative thoughts to consume my day. I have to ask myself, will I internalize a rude comment from a loved one or even a stranger? Will I pack up the worries from yesterday and carry them around with me today? Am I going to drag my past around and wonder why I am so tired and can't seem to get ahead? Will I give all my time to my job, my family, and my friends, but none of that goes to me or to God? Will I let the voice of inadequacy, self-doubt, or anxiety talk to me all day long and I do nothing to interrupt it? Will I decide on a whim that I'm going to purchase something that I can't afford just so I can feed my insecurities? Will I pull up to the drive-thru at Krispy Kreme because I see that hot now sign and I tell myself I deserve it because I've had a bad day? Krispy Kreme. Will I show up in the world as bitter, angry, or jealous because I refuse to do the internal work to heal from past trauma? Will I let abandonment or rejection or heartbreak somehow convince me that I'm flawed and unworthy? We all get the same 24 hours every day. It's just what we do with them that counts. Our choices either cause us to move forward, stay stuck, or go backwards and lose momentum. Most of the time, we are just one decision away from the life that God planned for us. So why do we keep going down a path that will eventually cause us to self-destruct? One of my favorite scriptures, Proverbs 3:5-6, the Message translation states, "Trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. He's the one who will keep you on track." Just because we didn't make the best decision yesterday, it doesn't mean that we have to continue that same pattern today. We can decide at any second that we're going to choose differently. And when it comes to making a decision, God puts the ball in our court because he's a gentleman and he's not going to choose for us, nor will he override our will. However, he loves it when we get him fully involved because he wants to guide us, but he will not bombard our lives. We have to choose to include him in our decision-making process. But our decisions and the consequences of our choices, that's going to totally be on us. And let me just throw this in for free. As adults, we're not responsible for another person's decisions. I'll say that again. As adults, we are not responsible for another person's decisions. We all have free will, so we shouldn't be making decisions for anyone else, nor should we accept the blame or feel responsible for their results. When it comes to deciding what we're going to do, we have to weigh our options and determine which choice is going to be best and then take action. I've found that unless it's an emergency, most major decisions don't require an immediate response. So instead of being hasty and choosing based on our feelings, let's pause and take the time to fully consider our options and count up the cost. There's a saying that you should never go grocery shopping when you're hungry, and I say never make a major decision when you're in your feelings. Our feelings and our flesh will not make the right choice. It's going to feel good in the moment, but once that euphoria wears off and those consequences set in, it's not going to be fun and it could take years to recover. Have you ever made an impulsive decision because it felt right in the moment? You knew it was wrong or it was too good to be true, but you went against your better judgment and you did it anyway? Proverbs 14, the 12th verse, NIV translation states, "There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death." I have made plenty of impulsive decisions in my lifetime. However, all of them ended up costing me time, money, disappointment, and a whole lot of regret. The pleasure that came with it was very short-lived. And my life didn't change until I started making better choices. The best choice is often like the road that is less traveled. There is no instant gratification, but the end result far exceeds the regret of making a bad decision. So my advice to you, choose wisely, my friends. So this concludes our lesson for today. Please join me next Friday as I share part 2 of the Multiple Choice Life, where I'm going to discuss what stops us from making decisions and how we can make the best choice. So I hope you will join me. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. If you made it to the end, you know I appreciate you. Any takeaways, please leave me a comment and I'll be sure to reply. My podcast, website, and social media platform information is in the description of this video. And I'll see you next Friday. In the meantime, remember that you matter. In Christ, you are enough. You are never alone. And most importantly, you are eternally and unconditionally loved. Until next time, take care.